The exhibition at the Royal Academy here, it's a retrospective in the sense that the earliest work date back to the mid-1980s and the most recent work was finished the day before the opening of the exhibition. The exhibition includes, I suppose, at its heart, a room which is not a reproduction of my studio, but has kind of the range of different things that are in the studio in that one room, ranging from sculpture to printmaking to stereoscopic machines for viewing to drawings to films. The rest of the exhibition almost expands from the central space with tapestries, with the room of films, with the room of theatrical events, with a miniature theatre, which are all in a way elaborations of what happens in that central studio space. My life as an artist, when that's what I could think of myself as, was when I discovered drawing in charcoal. I'd worked with pencil, with graphite, with oil paint. But when I came to work on a larger scale with the softness of charcoal, for me that was an opening up of possibilities. The fact that you can alter a charcoal drawing as quickly as you can think, just with a wipe of a cloth, made it a medium in which one could think rather than simply make an image. And so even if in the end the works are in ink or in cloth or the gesture of an actor, their origin, their strategy is that of working in charcoal, of keeping an open-endedness, of working with uncertainty right till the end. Over the last 33 years now, I've been working on a series of animated films. There are 13 of them now. They're all about between 6 and 9 minutes long. Each one would take about 9 months to make. Because instead of having thousands of different drawings as you would in traditional cell animation or even digital animation, there are maybe 20 or 30 drawings for each film, but each drawing is successively erased and redrawn and erased and redrawn. So that at the end you have a dirty, smudgy drawing, but which has in it the trace of what has happened in the drawing as it's being filmed. So the drawings are all made in Johannesburg, and they've been made over the last 30 years, so that corresponds to the period of the start of the transformation and then the ending of apartheid in South Africa. And they're not a diary of that, but if you look back at them over the 13 films, they capture in them many of the moments of what happened in South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the violence just before the first democratic election, the AIDS pandemic. All of these come into the films, but so does a lot of other much more personal and unexplainable material. With the drawings made with Chinese ink, they're erased by replacement. So they're mainly drawn on many sheets of paper, often of dictionaries, of old Chinese books. And if something goes wrong, rather than erase it physically with an eraser, the sheet of paper would either be torn out and another one placed, or another sheet of paper placed on top. And so with the flowers, very often those extra sheets of paper become other petals, other leaves. And so the first painting is like almost the underpainting, and then the work happens in the rearranging, the editing, cutting sections out and sticking them on top. Black Box is a mechanical theatre using automatons, little models of people running, turning, moving. It came after I'd done a production of Mozart's Magic Flute, which is an opera about the Enlightenment, and Black Box looks at the underbelly of the Enlightenment, that is to say, at colonialism. In this case, the genocide in Namibia, what used to be called Southwest Africa. The whole colonial movement over several centuries was accompanied with such devastating violence that so many parts of the world, both South Africa, other parts of Africa, parts of South America, are still recovering from its effects. Sybil, in a way, is the most theatrical of the rooms in the exhibition. It comes out of a chamber opera called Waiting for the Sybil that we made just before the COVID pandemic, but it looks at questions of mortality, of fate, escaping one's fate, finding one's fate. So it felt very much of the moment over the last 2 years. There's a sequence in the opera of a chair collapsing, of never knowing which is the right chair and which is the wrong chair. Will one go towards one's fate or away from one's fate? Or will one's fate always find us? Whichever chair you sit on, will it collapse? A lot of the drawings and a lot of the paintings have different phrases, and there's some works which are simply phrases. It's about language at the end of language, where there's a riddle that you can't solve, but which intrigues you just because it's at the edge of meaning. That sense of having to construct a meaning rather than receive a meaning. I have no expectation of what people take away. I have no need for them to take anything specific. It's not as if I have an agenda, this is what you need to learn. I hope people can see it with an openness and understand that they are going to construct the meaning themselves as they make their way through the exhibition.